I'm glad I met you.
You taught me about cars.
Well, apparently I didn't.
You're just swapping the wrong information.
Yeah.
Yeah, all cars are front-wheel drive.
Yeah, we're all swapping the wrong information.
Okay, alrighty.
But now, yeah, let's start. Yeah, we ready?
Yeah.
All right, mic check. Yeah, we good. We good.
Cool.
All right. Okay. Welcome to episode 14. I think it's 14.
Yeah,
I
you already
don't know
took me
what
by
you're looking at
surprise.
me.
Yeah. Yep.
Even you surprised. If we're wrong, then my bad. But yeah, episode 14. And once again, we're outside. I mean, as you can tell, if you're watching. But yeah, and today we've got the homie, Georgina.
Hi.
AKA, wait, should I say that AKA?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Okay, AKA Jalja. Okay.
And you pronounced it correctly. That's pretty good.
That's a first.
That is an
That's the
absolute
first. Because
like that
last
is.
week we had a guest. I kind of messed up the name.
Yeah.
So
What was the name? Sorry. I do listen.
Louise.
Oh, Louise.
Yeah.
I was going to say
it
Louise.
was-
And technically,
So,
when
yeah.
this comes out, that's not even the last episode. Sorry.
Wait, was it not?
No.
Oh, we did one in between.
Yeah, we've done 3 in between.
Did we?
Yeah. Sorry, like we're all.
Oh. Okay.
Now you see how we function.
How did you? So did you actually work out how to pronounce it, or did you just know? Because most people
Oh,
pronounce it
no,
wrong.
no, I asked. I thought I'd just ask. Oh, wait, Jalja.
Yeah.
Jalja, I think you told me last time I saw you. You told
Oh,
me.
did I? Yeah, I must have.
Yeah, it was.
Korean.
Yeah.
Korean?
It's Korean. Yeah. Jalja. It means sleep well.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. So you say it to like kids. It's like informal. So you say it to kids before they go to bed. Jalja.
Why did you choose that?
I didn't.
Okay.
But I like it. I like it, but I didn't pick it. No.
Okay.
I didn't. I'd never heard of it before.
Jalja. Do you say that quite a lot now?
Jalja. Yeah.
Just before people go to sleep.
Not. I've never said it. No one knows what it means except for me, so that would be a bit weird.
And maybe Korean people.
Yeah, but I don't. There's not a lot of them in my flat.
Oh yeah, true. I was just talking to me then. Like, well done. It just
Every time someone's about to go to bed, I just sneak in. That's not what I do.
Okay.
No, I'm not often saying goodnight to people. So.
I might. I'm just
might.
throwing that out there. I might just be saying
Just
Jalja all the
start it,
time
you
now.
know.
Yeah.
No, it's,
What an introduction. Okay, so still like the audience probably has no idea who you are. So Georgia, aka Jalja.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and also it's as always myself and Katie. But
They're
yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I've known Nate for ages. We actually met over my music, I think.
Yeah,
like
music,
back in
yeah.
the day.
Yeah, this was 2011.
2011.
Yeah, 2011 as we're saying. Yeah.
I used to do hip hop covers
Yeah.
back in the day.
Seen some on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh no,
yeah.
that's so cringy.
Oh my god, no, is it? No,
cringy.
it's not cringy. No, you've got a voice of a bloody angel, love.
Oh,
Truly, truly. And the covers are great as well because a lot of people do a cover and we'll just cover, like we'll just do a straight cover. Like, what's the thing? What did Rihanna cover? That was the.
Oh, The Weeknd.
No,
Not that one.
no, Tame Impala.
Oh, Tame
Same.
Impala.
Oh god, I'm ruining it.
I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Oh,
Same
you're gonna do
oh,
the side of the hand.
God.
No, I got it.
You did it. We'll put it there. Yeah. So when people do a cover and they'll just like cover it straight up, but you cover it in your own way.
Oh,
It's
you,
really
you add your own
honestly-
twist
yeah,
to it,
man.
which is quite dope. It's like, you know what? I was inspired by that song to do this.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, all right, okay, how did he flow on this? All right, let me
Yeah.
copy flow for flow.
So it
bar
feels
for
like a
bar.
reaction to a track instead of like a straight like
guys.
copy of a
Yeah,
track.
it's not karaoke.
I think
type.
it's definitely one of those things as well because it was hip hop and I'm not like the stereotype hip hop person, I guess. I think I liked hip hop music, but I knew I couldn't do it justice by doing hip hop in the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
So it made more sense to do it my way, but I still like the song and I like the meaning behind it.
Yeah.
And also sometimes I find with a lot of tracks, especially modern day, the lyrics and the melodies are actually really nice, but it doesn't go with the beat because the beat is like to be to sell, right?
Yeah.
So people want dance music, they want this certain beat, and
Yeah.
there's actually a musical thing that if you want a track on Radio 1, it has to be 140 beats per minute.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, anything slower. There's
That's
like
the industry. Sorry, go on.
no, but it's so interesting. Like Radio 2 is like has to be a storyline. It can't just be a song. So like there's like mechanics to doing it. So I think like which I only know now. So it made sense why some songs had really beautiful meaning, but actually it didn't really. To me,
Yeah, it doesn't stick.
Didn't do it justice
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
way because like it had to be a
Trying to meet
certain
the
way to
requirements.
fit into certain categories.
Yeah.
So I mean, unknowingly, now I know it, I'm like, oh God, do I try and do the thing to get the thing?
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
It makes me think about Cesar's album. As in, was it intentional so that it fits those brackets rather than helping her? I could be wrong, making
But it's
That's
also
what it felt like.
sometimes you've got to do it to like, I mean, TikTok's a thing now, isn't it? Where like you have to make it TikTok viral to do anything, and there are just certain boxes now that you have to fit in. So it's like, do you do songs like when SZA came out with that song that was like, I Might Kill My Ex, I can't remember the name of it, but that song.
She did the hand gesture anyway. I'm gonna put it there.
Put it here. There was a bunch of other TikTok people that got viral and became famous from doing pretty much the same thing. Like, I hate my ex, they're a piece of shit.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
well, a celebrity doing that is already on tour winner, right?
Yeah.
And it was catchy, but yeah.
Right.
So what's your, just to take it back, because for people who are watching and also for myself, you two met through music. Well, what was that?
Oh yeah, I'm not a rapper.
No, yeah. Wait, what? No,
How did you guys meet?
it was really weird.
Was it through CJ?
Yeah.
Do you remember CJ?
Yeah, it
CJ.
was basically there was back in the day, it was like the much smaller community. I feel like to do music in different genres. So there was a group called AMMG who are still going. So shout out to you guys, thanks. They're like Irish, and they used to for free just have a collection of what they call AMMG artists.
Yeah.
And they'd help promote their stuff.
Cool.
So they'd repost things, they'd share them on different pages, but they were free, and they were just a group of nice guys, and they just helped out.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure CJ, who was from Ireland, was also part of that group, and so he saw my stuff and I saw his stuff, and he used to ask me to do tracks together. And that's how I found Nate and Law. They were like...
Yeah, because CJ came to stay at mine, because I already knew CJ from Belfast. And then CJ came to stay at mine, and then...
Yeah, and then we were like, oh, you had the slang clothing line.
Yeah.
And you were like,
let's do
we're
something.
trying to do a creative thing. And I was like, always
This was
down.
at the, like the birth of slang, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that was like back in the day, and I was just like, yeah, always down. And then, weirdly enough, after we started talking, I was like, because I work in media as well, so I was like, I'm taking a few years out, but I think I'm going to finally go to uni. So I took 2 years out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to uni in Manchester. And he's like, no way, I'm in
It's
Bolton.
still here, yeah.
And Laura's up here. And I was like, right, that's it, we're all meeting up. But we hadn't met until that point, so we were just chatting online, like sharing ideas, like creative.
right, okay.
And then when I went to uni here, I was like, we were all like, let's meet up and do stuff, and we did.
From there, it's just, from there, it's been people's. Like, just
Lovely.
anything you need, hit us up, let
man.
us know. Like,
It's a long time of
yeah.
just...
Yeah, it is. But it's
knowing
nice.
each other.
It's nice.
But also
really
just
nice.
sharing creative things. It didn't really matter
yeah.
what it was. Well, you guys are the same, right? It didn't matter what it was. You just like doing creative stuff, and like even if you're not the best at it, first of all, because you like doing it, you'll become good at it because you want to keep practicing.
It's a circle of influence, and also like even associating with other creatives, it kind of gives you the sort of confidence to be like, you know what, I'm going to do what I enjoy, similarly to the other people around me. Like you see people, it's like, like even in our slang group chat, it's like, alright, cool. Someone's gonna like, let me say, Law, is gonna drop something he drew. It's like, ooh, snap. Even if you're going through something, you're not creating anything, it's like, ooh, actually, you know what? Let me do something.
Yeah.
I also find
That
other
just
people's creativity inspires my creativity, even if it's different. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
when I see oh my God, so Law, I don't know if he told you this, but when he came and saw me, in fact, he actually, funny enough, he's from East Croydon and I've just moved there, so like,
Nice.
even better. He
Look
came,
at how the
Always
world
following
works.
the click. Oh, you there now? Guess what?
what are you doing up here? Let me come over. No, so Law like came over to my flat a little bit after I moved in, and like he was showing me all your new stuff, and I was like, the progression. I was like looking back at the first jumper I got, which I still love and I still have, and I was like,
that's so
the
nice.
progression.
Oh, to be fair, I'm still rocking the OG
original,
logo.
yeah.
The
But
OG
the-
logo is still there.
The progression, I was like,
So-
the creativity in that and how far it's come is actually insane. It was so inspiring. And he was like, oh, and we got these. And he was like, oh, the sliders with our faces on. And I was like, it's actually insane.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that you guys have done in such a short space of time.
Yeah, but I mean, you say that, I could say the same thing about you. I mean, we're just talking music. I mean, you transformed from Georgina to Jalja. So,
Wow. Yeah, that's... it's really weird because it doesn't really feel like it's me, but I know it is. But I guess that's because like
got
my
plaits and
life hasn't
everything.
really changed that much, but it sounds really impressive to anyone that sees me in like random periods. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
But I live with myself, so I'm kind of
Yeah, you're too
Maybe
close
I
to it
don't,
to be
yeah.
able to kind of see change. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like sometimes we're just way too close
yeah.
It was like,
to ourselves.
when I last saw you, we all met up and we were having a drink, and I was like, oh yeah, and you're like, the music stuff's doing really well, and I was like, yeah, and I was like showing you like, how there's millions of yeah, and he's like, when were you gonna tell me this? I was like, oh, I don't know.
It never came up, just like ours.
Yeah,
It never came
it
up.
just never came up.
Just
Yeah.
talking live. So yeah, no.
Yeah.
So since this is such a hard question to answer because it's so massive, but like, what's journey have you been on? Like, how have you been? Because you mentioned that you make music, but then you're also into media as well. So you kind of have feet in both of these worlds, which must work together at certain moments quite well.
Yeah.
But like,
I think creativity in general works with other creativity. Right?
yeah.
Because the thing is that I think if I just did one thing and I made it my sole life, I think I wouldn't like it anymore. But
Yeah.
I can dip in between two makes it.
Yeah.
Keeps you inspired in
Yeah.
terms
When I struggle with one, the other one's like the thing that I like to go to, and when I struggle with the other one, I go to the other one.
Yeah.
So it's like quite a nice balance.
of. Yeah, but how do you balance that out in terms of?
How do you balance all your stuff?
Touche.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I just
clap
live
back.
and do it.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? You don't know anything else, you just do it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
And
guess
it's
so.
kind of like if you stop, if you enjoy it as well, you're willing to put the extra time in. But like,
Yeah.
if I stopped doing it, it would cease to exist, so then I wouldn't
Yeah.
have
And
that
you'd-
option anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you'd feel as well for me. I know it's like a sense of self goes away.
Yeah.
It's like no, I need my fix. It's almost like
Yeah, my fix.
yeah, I just made it sound like
I need my
no,
fix.
it ain't like that. But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you can't just not do it. Like
So what's been your musical highlight then? Like, because you just said then that like you're not really seeing this like sense of change
take my
with
shoes
millions of views and all that kind of stuff. God damn, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh, come
joking, I'm so
on!
sorry. It was an opportunity and I just.
this is brand new.
know.
Should I just sniff them? Sorry.
But like, what have you noticed that to you was like, whoa, that's really cool, and I'm really proud of myself.
I think it's more the reaction of the people that I love to things. So there's like one track that I did, which was the first one I ever did as Jalja, which still gets played on radio and stuff now, and in different countries. So I have friends that travel or whatever, and they're on holiday and they'll record them in a
That's
different
so
country
cool.
playing the song.
Yeah,
and be like,
yeah.
Oh my God. I actually have only ever heard it once out in public or on radio myself. So when I get these videos and everyone's really excited, it's actually really nice because it's like, like my parents went on holiday to Cyprus and they were in a shop and my dad was like, oh my God, it's
Oh, that's
playing in the shop, and
amazing.
put it on, and it was like really sweet because I was like, oh. Or my friend that lives in New York, who I used to do music in New York with this friend. He used to just, this sounds like really weird, but he used to pay for me to come over to record because he just had that money and he was like, I just want
that'll
it.
do. Yeah, cool.
I was like, all right.
Shout out, yeah.
His name Luckman, lovely guy.
Got some good look,
But-
man.
Yeah, he literally. And he used to pay me to come out, and like he got engaged. I hadn't spoken to him in a while, and then like last year around New Year's Eve, he sent me a video of him and his new fiance in a club, and it was playing in New York.
Wow.
And I was just like, I hadn't heard from this guy in
that's
years, and we'd
amazing.
recorded all
Yeah.
this music that he sat on, and he's like, oh my God, Georgina's Jalja, she's playing in New York. Like, absolutely off his face. I was like, this is just brilliant.
That must be sick.
But the stuff like that, where it's like people that I love and or even people that have seen me from like the beginning, and like seeing that and like going, oh my God, I'm so proud of you, is really nice.
Just a bit of perspective back.
Yeah,
That's
'cause then I'm like,
incredible.
And then I go back to, okay, back to my 9 to 5, everybody.
So what is your 9 to 5 at the minute then?
Well, it's media. So I do media as a full-time job. I do social media for mainly television companies, but I've worked in big social media brands. I've been quite... I get a lot of, what's it called? That thing where you just don't feel like... Imposter syndrome. I get a lot of imposter syndrome because I feel like a lot of the stuff that I've had falls into like luck, like just good timing rather than like necessarily. It's also like, ever since I was younger, I did like more vocational courses, and they taught you a lot about networking, and they would tell you it is definitely not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And no matter what, you need to network to get what you want. It's not going to be getting good grades and all this, because actually realistically, once
need
you got
the
the good
human
grades, you could
skills.
have you could literally just walk out and have nothing.
Yeah.
So it's all about like begging people. A lot of blackmail they used to advise on.
Oh, seriously? All right. Okay.
No,
I thought you were
no, no.
joking then. I was like, what?
No.
No one laughed. I was like, yeah, ha,
Oh
my God.
No,
What do you
like, this is a true fact. So when I first moved to Manchester, I studied at Salford University, which is really well known for the creativity. It's right next to the BBC in Media City.
Yeah.
And I remember when I studied music business for a bit, and I remember the guy saying to me, buy people drinks. If you buy people drinks, you've bought their time. If you've bought their, if you can, remember facts about them, and even better, if you want something from them, if they're drunk and they say something or they do something that you know you have leverage on, remember that and bring it up, but light-heartedly in a conversation later. So here's what I did. I worked. This is not a joke. I decided
We're just in facts right now. This is incredible. Okay.
So I decided when I first moved to Manchester, I was studying Media City, and I noticed there was one bar in Media City. It's called the Dockyard. And I was like, right, my first tip is I'm gonna get a job at the bar, because obviously everyone comes out with a media company, go in, get a drink. I can get them a bit drunk, get their email, harass them for work experience. Cool. And around Christmas time, they put me in this teepee in Media City where they had an ice skating rink next to it. And there was a big editing company that does really huge productions that I'd watched some of their stuff on, coming in to have a Christmas party. And they were getting pretty drunk. They had a big tab. And only two of them...
I know what you did this summer.
Only two of them ended up staying, and they were like, we've got to run up this tab. And there was over £1,000 left, so I knew something was going to go down. I went, oh yeah, I'm really into media. Can I get your email? And one of them just gave me it, and I was like, okay, good. Yeah. Next thing I know, they're jumping drunk onto the ice skating rink. So now I've got the blackmail. So I wrote into the email, I was like, it was really nice to meet you. You guys were so funny last night. Do you remember jumping onto the ice skating rink after all those drinks? Yeah, I hope you guys didn't get into too much trouble, haha. Anyway, I mentioned work experience. Is there any work experience going? 5 minutes later, literally, what do you want, when do you want it?
It's like 48 laws of power.
What do you want, when do you want it, and yeah.
And so is that where you are now?
No, no. I've done a lot
more.
I hope you're not snitching on yourself.
No. Well, I'm not going to do it from the companies I work for now. But no, then once you've just got a few names, it's easier to like get other jobs. But it's the starting bit, because everywhere wants a certain amount of experience to do everything. Yeah. So you got to blackmail your way in.
Yeah. Once you're in through the door, you're already sort of in the system or whatever you want to call it.
A lot of creative jobs are nepotism as well. That's the thing. So if you're not part of that and you haven't been around that, you're really going to struggle. So you kind of have to be a bit wily. Yeah.
And it's worked for you though. So plus you have straight talent. So you kind of such a smart move to kind of do that. So has your job working in media, has that like impacted or influenced or kind of pushed the creativity?
I think...
Like, is there shit you've learned that you've used?
Yeah, 100%. When I was working at... I've always been a bit impulsive. Like, if someone gave me an opportunity to do something and I was like, as long as I'm safe and it's not hurting anyone, 100%.
Fuck it, why not?
Yeah. And I'm not spending loads of money, go for it. Yeah. But my favourite job in terms of creativity was before the pandemic, and it was working at Nickelodeon, and it was my favourite because I had to set up a brand for teens, specifically girls, and no one wanted to help me, and they were like, look, I don't care what you do as long as you don't spend loads of money. And I kind of just got to do whatever I wanted, so I decided I wanted to film loads of gigs, I wanted to do interviewing people, and it cost no money because all I had to do was persuade people to let me do it for free, which a lot of people wanted, right? And as long as I did it within the guidelines, I could do whatever I wanted. And from that, I met those people that were creative. I got to set up mini-series. I was like, oh, the creativity's flowing. Like, I'm doing all this stuff. And then, like, I was like, when it started to slow down a little bit, I was like, oh, actually, I want to get back into doing music and writing, because it just, like, ignited something that I felt like I'd kind of forgotten a little bit, because I hadn't done music so long, because I thought, oh, it's pointless. But then I was like, well, does it really matter if nothing comes of it, if I enjoy it?
Yeah, am I enjoying it? Yeah, so why not?
Yeah, as long as I'm happy and it's and you know, I like doing it and it's something that gives me pleasure, then why would I stop doing it just because I'm not getting money? Yeah.
So it's like you got yourself into a situation where you weren't dependent on your like art form to be the thing that financially supports your life, because I feel like if you get to that point, you're either going to be absolutely in love with it or you're going to hate it and have to start totally from square one. Yeah. Like it could become just your mortal enemy. And so you got to a point where like you had another stream that was like financing your existence. Do you know what I mean? Like as a human living now, it's like we need we need money. If you're chasing it for money, if you're chasing it for whatever, it's just a really tricky thing to like stay motivated in doing. So it's amazing that you had this break from it, and then you're able to come back to it. So have you always been interested in music? Like when did this break actually happen?
I've always been interested in music. I think, weirdly enough, I was really shy as a kid. Like, I was so shy. And I was. You wouldn't believe it, but I had like a lot of, when I was a kid, I had a lot of friends whose parents got divorced or like, their parents like passed, unfortunately, and they all moved different countries. So I constantly had to keep making new friends, but my life didn't change. You know what I mean? I was in the same place, but everyone was leaving around me and it was getting frustrating. So I think I just became a bit shy where I was like, oh, I have to keep making new friends and what if people don't like me. And then I had my friend who I now write music with. She moved in next door. My brother and her brother became friends. And she was just so confident, And she wasn't like the other girls she wasn't like that arrogant. But like all the girls around me.
She actually wasn't.
Yeah, all the girls around me wanted to they were quite wealthy kids that all wanted to play horse and were really girly, and I didn't feel like I fit in with that, but she wanted to play football, she wanted to beat the boys, do you know what I mean? And I was like, I want to do that. And then she was like, she would get up, her mum was really pushing music on them, so she would get up and she would just start singing in the playground and everyone would run to her, like they were drawn to her because that was something no one did, no one just sits there singing.
Who does
and
that?
I'd be like, you're so annoying, like you're such a show off, and like, but it was because I was jealous. I wanted to do that. And she was even on SMTV with Kat Deely and Ant and Dec back in the day, Saturday
Oh
show.
my God, it's a throwback.
She was singing on that. She won a competition for Liberty X.
God
Liberty
damn.
X had a competition, and I remember watching her on that, and I was just like, I hate you so much. But I loved her.
She's the most famous child in the world.
Yeah, I was like, she's a celebrity, and she'd come into primary school, and people like asking her to sign autographs, and I was like, fuck's sake. And she was the kind of the competitiveness in me actually was the reason I started getting more into it, and then I kind of did it like secretively for ages, and then I think because that we were still in contact and we're still friends to this day. When it got to like the end of my secondary school year, I was like, I want to study music. And so I started doing it, and then people were telling me I was actually good. And I think until then I didn't think I was good.
Because you were just doing it under wraps for a while. Oh my, that's kind of heartbreaking. I'm so glad you out of that now. Secret music making is heartbreaking.
I think that people underestimate a little bit of a backpack. Like tell someone that they're doing a good job. Because I think a lot of the time people are sat there. And also the internet, there's so much stuff and everyone's so confident these days. Seemingly confident.
But at the same time,
they're not confident, by the way. They're not.
No, I think you also needed that like sort of a bit of a downer with your friends, like questioning things, because then it just pushed you to actually, wait, what do I actually like? So
I think when you aren't, when you're not trying to follow what your mates do and trying to impress people, you feel a lot more confident to just try things. You've got nothing else to do.
True. And this kind of forced you to actually just like try it and then do it. Next thing, like, oh, I'm actually decent at it.
And it was just like a really, it was just a really validating moment. The moment where I knew that I could do something with it was like, that final year of secondary school, and like the music teacher puts on this big show. And he said, yours is the only voice that can have a backing choir and a jazz band, and I want you to finish the show because no one else's voice could carry over that. I was like, are you serious? And they were like, yeah. And he picked the song he'd always wanted to play. And I was like, that's insane to me. And I remember getting up on the stage and they filmed it, and I was so shy. But like everyone would come up to me afterwards and be like, how did you hide this? I actually did do I did do a talent show music thing when I was at primary school. And I made it through, but because I was so shy, they thought I didn't want to do it, so I didn't make it through to the final round.
Oh, because you seemed like you just weren't like.
They were like, we thought that you were too shy to do it, so I just thought I was bad because I didn't make it through.
Right.
That is so bad. That's such a bad.
So close, but you didn't tell us.
Do you know what I mean? Because I remember them telling my mum years later, and they were like, "Oh, it's so amazing that Georgina is now actually singing." Because like I remember her doing that time, she was so good, and Mum was like, she didn't make it through, and they were like, oh, we thought it was because she was too shy and we didn't want to like break her. And my mum was like, I spent ages trying to console that kid, being like,
she was so heartbroken.
So heartbroken, but we could have just said, oh, it's because you're a bit shy.
And you could have been like, nah, it's fine, I'll do it.
But that's it. I think if people were a bit more upfront with complimenting people on their skills, rather than just assuming that everyone thinks that and knows that they're good.
Yeah, but there's also like this gatekeeping of like, I'm not going to tell this person, because it's like that thing you said about like healthy competition with your friend, and I love that you mentioned that, because not a lot of people want to talk about like being competitive or envious of someone's skills or talent.
No, like envy is too harsh.
But no,
I hear you.
But it's not what you've talked about is competition, healthy competition.
But the thing is,
online,
we've as we grew up, we both said to each other, we went, she said to me, "You're the reason that I wanted to pursue music," and I said,
so
"You're the reason I wanted to pursue music,"
yeah.
because we were the only people that we knew that both had that thing that we wanted it so much.
Yeah.
But we were so it made us want to do something just so we could say it to the other one, and then the other one wanted to do something, and we were like,
just
so you're holding each other accountable to like, you need to catch up, like you need to come with me.
Did you see the card? It's basically a game of cards.
Yeah,
it was.
Like, ooh, okay, I see what you did. Damn.
And now we work
I'm
together.
shy as
Do you know
fuck.
what I mean?
Sorry.
Now we work together. We drag each other to each other's things. Like we're now doing it together. So it's not like it ends up being a good thing. But it was only as we were adults where we revealed to each other that we were consciously aware that we were competing with each other.
Yeah.
Because there was a point where I just went. She got really down that her music. After the pandemic, she had to pause doing some music because she was she was a jazz singer. She'd go to big venues and sing. Whereas mine did the opposite because I wasn't. I was I recorded in my house.
Digital.
Mine was all like recordings. Like people didn't know who I was like that. Whereas she's face to face. So she got a bit down about it, and I just said to her, I was like, I'd love for you to write with me. I just want to tell you like you're the reason, one of the reasons I'm here. And she went, you're one of the reasons I did that. And we just had this moment where we were like, fuck, why didn't we have this conversation before? Like, how have we sat here this whole time and like we'd egged each other on all of this time and never realised that the reason we both did it was because of each other.
And it's like the telling each other of it, which makes it like a healthy thing to do. Whereas online, that's where envy is housed, and that's why, like, if you're looking for compliments online, I think you're going to get them from people who genuinely love you. But there could be a lot more, but people just don't want to. They're withholding it because it's like, well, I want to get there, so I don't want to. It's just a really weird. Like, it's really weird. It's not. It's like really inhumane because it's not like online. It's like you're just a little icon.
I really think though that social media isn't the place to
seek validation.
Yeah, I mean, I work in social media now, and obviously I started doing music on social media, and you had loads of compliments, and it like it's hard not to be addicted to the compliments and the likes, right?
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
But realistically, having worked in it for so long, I know that some people will comment things because they want your attention. That some people do these things that are really mean just because they're projecting. Yeah. And actually, realistically, so my friend, the reason she never posted online was because she never felt anything was good enough. Whereas I didn't. I knew that if I didn't post it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so there was never a point I'd be happy with it, so I'd just do it.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason that I managed to do anything. But I'd get loads of negative comments. I had loads of people that were vile to me. I had loads of great ones, but I also had loads of horrible ones. I just wouldn't be bothered because I had to say to myself, the people that I really care about's opinions are around me.
Yeah, they're real.
And they're real.
And there's this competition here that I gotta
exactly. And I'm still gonna beat her. But like, she wouldn't ever do it. So she never posted. So the first time I got her to write with me on like my actual music, she was so funny about it and about being released, and I just said, just let it go.
Yeah.
Just
I said, what's the worst that's going to happen? You'll be in the same position you are, just with a song that's been released. What is the worst that will happen? But it took a really long time to be like that as someone that was that shy kid, because basically I had to kind of put it out there and lock myself off, and like that's a separate world.
Bless you. Oh, you picked it up.
It's hay fever.
Yeah, it is the season.
Yeah. No, it's basically you just have to lock it off. I think that's part of the reason why I'm like, my life hasn't changed. I'm not consciously aware of the other side, because once it's out
just
there,
ignore it.
you ignore it, and just if something good comes from it, great. If it doesn't, I'm
is
the
what it
exact
is.
same position I was before.
Because to be fair, I was going to ask you about the writing process with Lucy.
It's nice. Yeah, I mean, it changes all the time. It really helped that I studied TV and media, because you have like different processes for writing scripts and coming up with ideas.
Oh shit, that's so true. I didn't even put those things together.
No,
that's
me
so
either.
True.
When I studied script writing at one point at uni, which they did it in a really weird way. What they used to do, which is a really cool idea, and I definitely recommend trying it if you're drunk, because it would be really good. It's like
drunk still.
Okay. So they had a hat. They had loads of like things in a hat, so it'd be like age ranges, and then they'd have another hat filled with like random activities, and you had to come up with a show idea for that age range based on that activity, and you're in groups. they used to also do it with newspapers. They're like, find an article and come up with an idea, and it could be a comedy, a drama, a documentary, anything.
Yeah.
But you had to pitch it and sell it. And I got Glastonbury and OAPs. And so I did another group, funnily enough, and the other group came up with this idea of like a documentary of like old people, of old Glastonbury through the generations. And like, old people love that shit. And I said similar, and the teacher's like, look, someone's already done that. And also, you've got to think that how many times that's been made. And I was like, okay, go back to the drawing board. Let's think a bit outside the box. And we were racking our brains, and then we came up with like an in-betweeners calendar girls version of Glastonbury, like people that are, like their partners have died, and you've got a bucket list of things they want to do, and Glastonbury was on that list. And it doesn't have to just be Glastonbury, it can be all these other things. But all these OAPs getting together, trying all the things they never did as kids. And they went to Glastonbury, and she's like, see, that's a better idea, right? Because that's not the first thing you came up with. The first, get it out there, go, okay, that's the first thing I came up with, good. That's not a bad idea. Now let's do something that's completely not that. Go back to something else. But putting yourself in a thing where it's like, I would never know how to do that and mix that was like a new way of thinking. Or even like, I have a friend that I used to write with back in the early days, and his Ron Generate, and he used to do word association. So he'd come up with a theme, and then he does hip hop, really good, clever hip hop, but everything was word association. So he just sat there forever going, milk, what do I associate with milk? And then it'd be like things like that, and then he'd have like bars for days and like all these rap songs, and it was really, really clever. And I think once you learn like a few different writing processes, so what I do with Lucy is she plays piano all the time, and sometimes she'll send me 4 chords, and then I'll say what it makes me think of.
Oh, right.
And then from that you can do like a diagram or like words association. But I'm generally quite, from my years of like doing covers of hip hop, but I also used to help write hip hop for like other people. So I do word association. So it'd be like I come up with an idea of a theme or something, how it makes me feel, or an idea, and then word association from there. And then you do, now how would I make it out of the box? How is this song different to that person's song? And how it's
and
basically
then you think of the strategy around.
Yeah, it's all
around
the different. It's all the different script writing and songwriting things put together in one, which. Yeah, we're teaching each other how to write, basically. Which is nice, because each time it's a different process. Like, I'm sure it's the same with you guys doing your creative stuff, right? Like, each time you do it, it's a slightly different process. It's not the exact same method of doing it.
Excuse me, it's almost like you met with different sort of obstacles, if you want to put it like that.
Yeah.
Or you come up with certain ideas, it's like, oh, how do I execute this? So it's like, how do you expound on it? So,
or even the different inspiration that got you started doing it, right? Like, you do graphic drawing, right?
So I mean, I'm struggling to frame what kind of maker or designer I am. I just say designer. I just like to make things look visually delicious.
That's
like that's literally like what I
Please
really
say
enjoy
that's
doing.
your slogan. If you have a card.
It kind of is. I'm just seeing it used more and more now. I'm not trying to take credit for visual deliciousness. I'm just saying it's my bad. It's mine. But what you're saying about like the word association is really interesting, because there's more of a strategy to doing that, so you can rarely get stuck in that. Mine is slightly similar, however, like I would have this bag of different ways that you can make or you can create. So like all the different tools you can use, and it's literally like you can use paint pens, you can actually use paint, you can use pencil, you can go digital and use an iPad, you can animate, you can do these things. And if I'm ever stuck in like a creative rut, then I'll just pick one of those options and be like, okay, let's just try that one out. Like my plan over this bank holiday weekend is to just paint some stuff, like with some actual paints. Wow. I just can't find my paintbrushes. Like I was going to do this last night, and I was like, I can't find a single paintbrush. And then I woke up this morning, so I just fell straight to sleep.
What time did you wake up?
Moving forward.
That's why it took ages to give you the postcode.
I was sound asleep, and I woke up at like 7 a.m. and then it was like, nah, no,
for me. Who do I think I am?
Not today, honey. So it's like picking these different ways or these different processes out of a hat and just trying them. And sometimes it's shit. Like sometimes
maybe good,
sometimes
maybe
maybe
shit.
good, sometimes maybe shit. But like at least you made something.
Yeah.
Like at least you didn't spend one more day going slightly more stale than you were the day before. Like at least I shook some of the rust off. So yeah, it's similar, but it's like it's totally different. And I work with words quite a lot of the time. So I'm basically just hijacking stuff that other people have written down. So if you have some delicious lyrics, I would visualize them. Let me draw them on like a little electricity box because I really like doing that.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was sick, by the way.
Yeah.
That was
Thank
amazing.
you so very, very much.
Are you just like? Look, I'm not trying to out you, but are you just allowed to do that?
But no, seriously, yeah. So there's this. There is, and I can't believe I don't think I've mentioned them yet.
No.
Withington Walls. I'll put that out
That's a
there.
very
Yeah, I
long.
love it.
I know, like I'm just trying to like give
Yeah.
it enough space. Yeah. So there's this. So I was just doing type stuff, and then got in touch with this guy called Ed, who is a civil engineer. Boom.
Yeah.
Who runs this amazing, I think it's a charity
Yeah.
called Withington Walls. So he has access to all of this space. And I think his primary job was to like stop vandalizing spaces.
Oh, by making it nice.
Yeah,
Make it
yeah.
nice
So
so
instead of trying to stop vandals, he was like, I'm just going to get artists,
Do
the
something
ones
better.
you call vandals, to like be able to use the daylight instead of
Yeah.
having to like scribble stuff out really quickly. Like spend a day, think about it, sketch it up, and then put it on. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of that. But shout out Withington Walls because like their
That's
stuff
a
is
really nice way to.
their stuff is amazing. Yeah.
But also, I think like, I mean, I'm lucky that I'm like from near Brighton, where it's really colourful.
Yeah, of
and
course.
everyone's kind of allowed to paint, and as long as it looks nice, and no one minds. And I do think it just makes it feel a much more comfortable and safer place, and like much brighter.
yeah.
I think as soon as you start to see all of the shit graffiti, and also I think it encourages people to actually want to try and do art rather than like
Exactly.
sneakily do it.
Oh,
and-
right.
Yeah.
Actually, that just made me want to go do that. It's like,
Yeah, instead of having to do it in nightfall, visibility's low. You're constantly worried that someone's
Yeah.
gonna catch that. Oh my god! To be able to do it in daylight, so yeah, you are allowed to do it, and if you frame it that way, as in this is what I'm trying to do, then no one's gonna stop you from
Yeah.
doing it. You can
Yeah.
frame it that way to like, yeah. There's anyone who has available space or a wall that's just bare. Just, I mean, my thing is just do it and then ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah.
That's
Beg to
a, that's a
forgive.
very
That's the best thing.
that's a really famous media saying. It's better to ask for forgiveness and permission.
Yeah.
Then beg for permission because you're just not gonna get it.
Yeah, you're not going to get it, but once you've done it, it's done, and they'll probably be okay with it. But you just go,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't know.
Gotta
Yeah.
try first.
So
right?
I didn't know. I just play stupid. I'm just a little girl. I didn't know what I was.
That's when sexism really pays off, isn't it?
Seriously, we don't talk about that enough. Us women are keeping that on the hush hush. Like I'm just a little lady.
Yeah,
I didn't
when
know.
you-
Imagine,
do
imagine I
something,
tried that.
yeah.
Like, oh, I'm just a little boy. What?
No, we've got to play the cards we were dealt, okay?
Seriously,
no
honestly,
card, like-
you have no card.
Like, I've got no card.
It's
I
like-
love that card so much.
Me too.
Ah, I didn't.
I always, whenever I've done something where I'm like, really, because like I said, when I started off doing media and I was working by myself and no one was helping me, I used to have to push boundaries that I
Yeah.
knew that if I'd asked for permission, people would go no.
Yeah.
But when I did it, it really paid off.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that I would hate to be my own boss, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the time.
Low key.
No, I'm very upfront about it. I used to have like the higher ups being like, you just want to work for yourself, don't you? You hate
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Straight up, yeah.
But I'm
like-
like, I don't pay myself very well. That's the problem. Like, but I used to have, well, I still sometimes do. It depends who it is, but like, you have to tell me why your idea is better than mine. Otherwise, I'm going to
Yeah.
keep fighting you on it.
Absolutely.
Because I know
Keep
that I've
going.
done this long enough that I know what I'm talking
I can
about.
trust
Yeah.
my instinct.
And you're open enough to someone like pitch for why your idea is better than my
Yeah.
idea. If it's not, then
If you're
good
just
job,
telling me-
buddy. But no.
I will obviously do it for the paycheck if you go, just do it. But
yeah.
I don't want my name attached to that if it doesn't
Yeah.
do well.
Yeah.
So I need you to tell me exactly
Yeah.
why your idea is better than mine.
Have you got like an anecdote of a situation that you were like, I'm gonna get in so much trouble for doing this, but it paid off?
Yeah, loads of them.
The one that legally you can drop into.
Yeah. I set up this thing, it's mainly Nickelodeon, but I set up this thing where I had really good connections with influencers, and then it became really good connections with management, and then it kind of spread and it started to do really well. Like if the pandemic hadn't hit, it would have been a television show. Was the
really?
plan.
Really?
Yeah. But basically during the pandemic, I didn't realise in the background they were starting to close it down, but I had influencers contact me going, look, we really want to make content. And I said, look, obviously I can't get crew over there. What I didn't have budget anyway. They said, well, what can we do? This is a music artist. He really wants to do something. I went, no one knows who he is, but how about this? I had to really go around so many legal loopholes. But I went, you make a music video, you write a song about the brand, right? You sign away that you will not earn money from this because we can't legally promote a song that will earn money for the artist.
Yeah.
So basically, you write the song. I said, look, it's up to you if you want to do this. You write the song, you make a music video, we'll push it, and I'll push all of your socials everywhere. And it really did help. He got loads of gigs after it, loads of events. But I didn't tell the company. But I knew the legal route around it so that we wouldn't get in trouble. But obviously, if one bit had slipped up, they could. Like, especially as with the UK and not the US. The US are the big boss honchos. So normally they like to do everything first. So I had to do all of this stuff, and then they did it all, and it was so good, and people got so excited because he wrote a really good song about Nickelodeon, and it was really catchy to the point where we have an event in Blackpool every year. If you didn't know, Nickelodeon Land is in Blackpool, and it's because that the US came over here and said that Blackpool reminded them of Miami. So
I'm sorry, pause. Wait, what?
The,
prescriptions. They need better prescriptions or
so
something?
they have loads of Nickelodeon lands in the US. They have one in New York, and I'm pretty sure they have one in Miami. And they were looking around the UK trying to find their location for the UK one. London was too busy, no beaches and away. Went to Blackpool and we're like, this is like Miami. There's gambling, there's beaches. So they set up Nickelodeon Land. It's on Blackpool Pleasure Beach. If you walk round, you see all the Nickelodeons.
Yeah.
That's Nickelodeon Land. But yeah, I got him playing there, and it was his first ever arena gig at the big, in Blackpool Pleasure Beach, performing with like quite big artists like John Newman and stuff. Like, I got him performing there after that one thing of him writing a song about Nickelodeon.
Good at this.
And so he then got all of this follow, but that was all based on him doing a lot of work. The thing is, and I know as a creative, I get so frustrated by it, doing stuff for free. That is a lot of work because I can't guarantee the payoff.
Yeah.
But I said to him, and I still talk to him and his manager. I said to him, I won't let this drop even if it doesn't help you with Nickelodeon. I will contact other people, but if you put in this work now, I promise you that I will help you in as best I can. Because I was like, this is a mutual beneficial thing because it'll make me look good because we've never done this before. It'll make you look good because you're on a big television brand's social channels.
So it's a win-win.
And because I ran the social channels, I did put money behind the social as well to give him more of a boost. So like, I was like, this is a mutually beneficial thing. We get more followers, we get views. People are like, oh my God, this is something that the UK do that's amazing. And also I just kind of wanted like Nickelodeon to feel like in the UK to not feel so American. Like I wanted kids to feel like it was like they could be a chance, they could have a chance here, and it was where they were, do you know what I mean?
And Blackpool for
and
the location.
Blackpool,
Alrighty.
So yeah, like that was one thing that I did where I was like, I remember afterwards, like the legal team sat me down for a good like 2 hours.
Probably not.
They'd had enough.
Did you nod off?
They'd had enough of my shit. The amount of shit they had to deal with me. I remember them like they used to always make me stand by their computer and like point at all these things that I did wrong, and I was like,
that's
but
me.
did you die though?
Did anybody die? They're like, come on, man.
I was like, it's a social media.
So you're great at pushing other people's music. You're good at that kind of stuff. What about self-marketing?
Oh, hate it.
Right.
Creatives,
what the
right?
hell is like wrong with creatives? Like, where does that come from?
I think the thing is that as a social media person, so on social media, I could help anyone build community. I'm not a salesperson. I can't sell anything. If you wanted to sell something, I can't do that. But I can help you build a brand and a community, and that's what I do. And I know how I can look at a brand really objectively and go, I know what category you fit in. I know what your audience is, and I know what you're doing. So like, the brand that I was doing for Nickelodeon was The Scoop. It's the older sister that knows a little bit more, but it's still figuring things out.
Interesting,
it's kind of purpley, pinky, bluey, a bit tomboyish, but they're at all the gigs, they're at all the events, they're everywhere you want to be, and not just that, they're talking to you, so it's much more like of a connection. It's more like a friendly voice, but they're slightly more knowledgeable and aspirational, I guess is the word. But if you were to ask me what my audience is, or it's in my head, you're kind of in between what you are and what you want to be, right? So you're mixing in between, and you don't want to be. No one wants to be put in a box, especially your creatives. But that's what you have to do for marketing. You have to put yourself in a box to be able to actually get the following you want. And I can't do that for myself. I need someone to objectively tell me what I am and what I'm not. so I can work it out.
I've never heard it articulated
Yeah,
like that.
you just
Honestly, you
nailed it. Like,
like that's what it is.
like, yeah.
Because you don't want to be put in a box, and that's like the whole part of being like a creative or a maker of any kind is like, I'm not put in a box. And who's your audience? Well, it's like everyone, but like even as a graphic designer, I'm telling students on a daily like, oh, who's this magazine for? It's for everyone. It's like, dumbass. No, it's not. Like, you know how hard that is to design? So hard to design something that's for everyone, and you just nailed it with like why. I'm shit on social media. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where it's going. This podcast, I don't know how to push that. Like I don't know how to frame it. Like I don't know what people
Who's
want.
this for?
Who's
I
it
don't know.
for?
But that's why
Who's
everyone has a
listening?
team, right? Because you have to have somebody that
Takes an objective stance on what things are.
you need someone to tell you, and sometimes it really sucks. As a creative, it really fucking sucks. I hate being told that like, this is your audience and this is your brand and this is what you should be doing. No one likes to be told that.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you will sell things. So it's like, are you doing it for the love of it and you'll just see what happens? Which can work. Doesn't always work, but it can work. Because, I mean, truthfully, behind social media anyway, authenticity is key. I don't care what anyone says, it's true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
People can
definitely.
tell immediately when you're fake and you're selling stuff.
Yeah.
So it's also, you're battling between the thing of you've been put in a box and you know you need to sell something, but you need to be authentic and in that box. And it's like, there's a lot going on. And objectively, I can, like I say, I can do that for somebody else.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it for myself because I feel like I don't feel like anyone is as two-dimensional as what you need to do to be successful.
Interesting. My goodness.
That's well articulated.
You've just created a light bulb.
Like, so I'm just.
Yes.
My mind is blown. It's like, damn. To be fair, I don't know. Who is the audience? So,
No, it's true though. Like,
yeah.
slang is a great example of like, I can tell what the key audience would be, and I know I can look at it and objectively be like,
Okay, we'll talk after.
no, you can
Kind of lot of conversation.
you can objectively look at it and be like, I know what kind of people that would appeal to, and like the age range even just from looking at the way it's sold. I mean, there'll be people that don't fit into that box. There'll be people older and people younger, and there'll be people that are slightly different. That I'm like, okay, well, I wasn't expecting that, but they're not the majority.
Somewhere.
Do you know what I mean?
It's kinda
Everyone
like
has
a
a
graph.
niche.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, that was.
No, so
No,
you just created dead air for the both of us now, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay, so then what do you do on social media? Like, how do you use your platform? If you're not very good at being able to, like, how do you use
Well, what I
the
try
digital
and do,
space?
I'm trying to build up my my music one.
Yeah.
And the way that I found that it works for me is rather than me trying to fit in a box, I spend a lot more time talking to people. So I show them what I do on a day-to-day, but then I spend more time asking questions. So that they're making the content
so the
for me.
interaction.
Right, okay. Yeah.
If I do the question box and I'm like, what's your favourite song?
Yeah.
And here's a trick that people don't know, and I've said this a million times. You know those question boxes and you look sometimes at brands and you're like, oh, that question seems very geared to what they're doing right now. No, use your other account, ask a few questions, get people going and aware that anyone can answer questions. So I go on my personal account, my private one, and I'll write into my music one and I'll be like, here's a few questions to get people going to start feeling comfortable to ask questions.
Yeah.
So I'll ask questions that I'm like, here are easy answers.
Yep.
Do a few, and then I'll have other people asking me questions. So I've set it up. Sometimes I don't need to, but quite often it's like it helps ease people into like, I can answer a question about anything.
So, okay, I guess this is open. I can say something.
Yeah, and I'd have a few friends, without me asking, friends were prompting silly ones as well. So I'd have a few, I'd write in a few serious ones, friends were prompting silly ones. So everyone could write in anything they wanted. And that meant that it was a much more comfortable space. But that's content, and then people...
And also gives it a personality. So for relatable, it's like, oh yeah, I get it. I know what you mean there. Okay.
But also, that's the community part, right? Because people forget that social media is literally social. Like, it's meant to be a place where you and the person that your audience can talk.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not meant to be a thing where you just constantly consume. It's becoming that, but that wasn't the idea of it. It's social.
Yeah.
It's meant to be a conversation. So that really brings it in. So people think that they're friends with me. I've had, like, as the music people... And,
That's quite hurtful.
No, but as in,
Ben
like,
thinks he's my friend.
they think they're my friend. Like, that's
Like,
why we're...
wow.
No, but, like, I've had people on my music page that, you know, they always write in, and I don't really talk to them that much back because I don't want to start too much of an interaction. But, like, I've had people say, oh, I'm in England for, like, a week. Let's meet up and have a coffee as if... with friends. And I'm not, obviously as a young female, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But
just a little girl.
I'm just a little girl. No, but like, because you
But I
build
can
that
suggest
community.
somewhere you can go.
Yeah, so I say, oh look, I'm really busy, but what part of London are you going to? Let me give you some advice. Like, it's a conversation, but I'm not going to put myself in danger for it. But I also don't want you to feel like
I'm a dick.
I'm a dick. Trying to be a dick. Yeah. Because I mean, if you bumped into me on the street and you're like, oh my God, I wouldn't be like, go away.
Like, please, I'm busy.
Not
like,
that
don't get...
Like,
don't
touch
me.
Sorry.
No, but the community part, I think when I studied music business, there were like some really good. I went to BIM in Brighton.
What is that?
Before it became like they have it in Manchester and London, it was the Brighton Institute of Modern Music.
Right.
Now it's the British Institute of Modern Music, and it's like where the Kooks came from, and like.
Oh shit! Right. Okay. Yeah.
But I studied music business there, and they had really, really big. Like people in the industry that worked there. So there was a guy called Steve Lee, shout out Steve Lee, who was part of the team that got Aerosmith and Run DMC together.
Mad.
Yeah.
Mad.
And he was teaching there. And I remember him, he also was in a band and he played guitar, and he used to say to me like, look, my band don't do that much. Like they're not commercially that great, but we have a small audience, and the way that we keep them going is we keep talking to them, and they buy all our tickets, they buy all our merch. But realistically, if I was massive, there would only be a small amount of people that did that anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm reaching the same amount of people buying the merch and buying the tickets,
following.
rather than that kind of passive following.
Yeah.
But these people care more, so they're probably spending more money. These like 20 people are spending more money and they care more.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they need,
because they feel like they know you,
Yeah.
and they feel more of that like. I don't know,
It's like better to have 100 loyal people, like 100 loyal people that follow you, than like 100,000 who are just there,
just there to watch.
just following because other people are following.
I've got to say, like working in social media has definitely helped me like realise that, because one of my jobs was finding talent for things. And I had to look at your engagement as well as your following. So I look at people look at your following, like big brands, and they'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then I click on their pages and like say they had
22 likes.
Yeah, they had 2 million followers, but suddenly that post only has 1,000 likes.
Yeah.
Well, the maths doesn't add up. When I could get an influencer that has 20,000 fans, but they've got 2,000 likes, 3,000 likes, and loads of people commenting and people acting like they have an opinion on your stuff enough that it will change the outcome of things. Like they feel like they're part of it. It's like Patreons, I guess, isn't it? Like your social media feels like a Patreon. They feel like the community they're building will change the content.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm now going into work mode where I'm just chatting at you.
Are you dropping terms? Like you're teaching right now.
Yeah. Because this is stuff like that, like anyone else on social media is just guessing at. Like I'm just guessing at the fact that like, okay, you got a lot of followers and must mean you're good, I suppose. But like, I feel like it's interesting though that you know how things work. You just struggle in a way doing it for yourself. Like, that is just fascinating to me, because you have the cheat codes.
Yeah.
You have the keys to the kingdom, but it's framing who you want to be and who you're actually speaking to. That's the uber hard part. It's kind of actually refreshing to know that it's like
it's real.
It's not something that we're just doing wrong.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to cross over that bridge.
I think trying to, because when you're selling something, it's a product, right? And trying to sell yourself as a product is difficult.
Yeah, it's well weird.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing in the world. It's like, I'm not an object, okay?
If you don't care about it, it's easier. Or it's not as like, I mean, I obviously care about my job, but like, if the brand doesn't succeed, that doesn't make or break me.
Yeah.
So I can do it really objectively and be like, look, I'm happy to test something out.
Yeah.
But I think also with, like, in any type of even social interactions, when you're like talking to people and you're like, oh, I want to try like doing something, but am I coming across as like I'm trying too hard, or I'm this or I'm that? That social media, that literally feels like so permanent, and it's so cringe if you do something a bit too, if you care too much or you care too little. It's all so cringe, and it's like you overthink things that you wouldn't think about if you were doing it for someone else. If your mate was filming you and posting it on their page, you probably wouldn't bat an eyelid as much as you would on your own.
No, that's what I mean. Like we had a conversation about my car. Like I'm not a car person, but that's the same thing, really. It's like, but I've been to car events. I shoot other cars.
Yeah.
But as far as mine, it's like, how is it going to come across? But
people gonna think oh my God, what will people think of me? One of the most refreshing things I've done is like I've got like a really, I'd say I have quite a few friends, but like they're really tight and I've known them for years. And like one of the most refreshing things is that I feel like now, because I know that those core people will be there forever, I can do whatever the fuck I want and I just don't care.
Yeah.
Because I know they will be there forever. I know that I have a job. I've got the things that I need, basically. I don't really care about the rest.
Yeah. It's kind of a last in, first out kind of situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if I'm going to offend you who followed me a week ago,
And the people that know you, they know
Yeah.
your intention. So it's like, all right, okay.
Yeah.
They know where I'm coming from. So
It's like when I don't actually regularly play it, but I remember I like went to my mates and they were like, "Do you want to play D&D?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to play D&D!" And we just stayed up all night getting drunk playing D&D.
Nice.
And I was like, when I told other people, they're like, "Oh, that's so nerdy," and I was like, "It was the most sick night
Yeah,
I've ever had."
I wanted to-
And also,
Yeah.
fun fact, like some of the biggest script writers, including the guy that wrote, oh god, like a bunch of the Star Wars and stuff. He actually played D&D when he was younger, which helped him script write because it's the idea of creativity. So what he used to do is use D&D as a way to write scripts because it's the thing of someone gives you a block, but you live in this world that's
yeah.
fictitious. So you still got these rules that you have to live
Gotta
by.
abide by.
Yeah, but it's like a fictitious world. So you've got all these options, but in a fictitious world. And
Yeah.
he used D&D to help script write.
That's
and I'm
so
like,
interesting.
Yeah.
so it's like all this nerdy stuff is actually just another way of like being super creative. So
Yeah.
when people are like, "Oh, don't you find that really new?" I'm like, "It's so sick,
Yeah.
so fun," and also like it really helps me with other stuff. So I don't care.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's a bit of bloody D&D, isn't it?
yeah.
Which gives me like vibes of like a pick your own adventure book.
It
style
literally
situation.
is, yeah.
But like if you apply that title to life, that's what we should be doing on a daily basis. Like pick your own goddamn adventure instead of being told every time that like I shouldn't
Yeah.
do that because it's not seen as like a cool thing and I shouldn't do this. Fuck that.
Well, the
Play some D&D.
validation, the
Because
validation
I've never
is
played
the trick.
D&D in my life before.
I
I feel like I don't have those circles to tap into. Like, who's gonna pop a game of D&D with me? Like, I don't know.
it was my mate that like I think I've got two of my best guy mates that I've known since I was 3, and like I think they bought it as a joke. They saw it online. They were like, let's do it, and then they started playing it. And they're like, this is actually quite fun. But when I played it, I wasn't as serious because I didn't know how to play. So it was just. But I would come up with things and ideas in it. They were like, I'd never thought of that, but it worked.
man.
Roll the dice, win the game. It was like I'd give the scenario, but it's such a really long, confusing scenario. But my mate still uses it to this day. He plays D&D for real now, and he still uses it to this day, being like, that was one of the maddest storylines that I'd ever gone on. And it was just because that I was like really drunk. I was like, well, why not try this? And he was like, holy shit, it works. But it's like the thinking outside the box thing.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
It's, being friends with nerds is one of the best things you can do in your life.
Of course, nerds run the world.
Nerds do. And also they're the ones that I think like make you feel the most willing to try things, because I just feel like there aren't the boundaries of like when I used to hang out with cool kids.
Yeah.
I felt like I couldn't do certain things, whereas
Yeah.
nerds are up for everything.
Yeah, there's no boundaries with them.
There's
It's
no
just
People have
do
already
whatever.
dismissed the nerds, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like, there's
It's like
no,
be
they're not-
weird. It's
they're
like
not trying to uphold any
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like status. It's just sort of like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
people already.
it's like you already think
Don't
I'm
rate me,
weird,
like,
so
okay,
that's fine.
lean
Means I can
into
do
it.
whatever.
Yeah,
Sweet.
exactly.
Just give me the license.
Yeah, man. I was in Liverpool like a good few weeks ago, and I think Comic-Con was on at the time.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many stigmas attached to like what Comic-Con is and what it. The outfits that people were wearing was just like, how have you done that?
Yeah.
How have you done, your
it's like
wings
you
are
made
moving.
that,
Like,
like,
how
yo.
did you even make that? And then I felt really, really like left. I felt so uncool because it was like, I don't know who these
I'm
characters
just,
are.
just regularly. It's like,
Just, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Wearing my jeans. Like, what?
who are you?
Looking at me like, ugh,
NPC.
basic as fuck. Yeah, it's really cool. That's something we don't think we give nerds the time of day.
And they make, like you say, they make a lot of that stuff. It's like the creativity that goes
Yeah,
into
it's
each. But not
wild.
just that. Most of them, that's not their full. It's like you guys with this podcast. It's not their full-time job. This is a labour of passion, and they get all of that stuff ready for that one event,
Yeah.
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 just so that they can go and hang out with
Just-
other people like them
and express
it's like,
themselves,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's amazing. Like the amount of creativity and engineering for some of them is just like mad, and they're just learning it as they go along and putting it together.
Yeah.
You would have a crazy
like-
outfit at Comic-Con with an engineer's brain. So I'm just thinking now.
Because
You'd probably
essentially
be
it's
like,
problem,
officially
it's
flying.
problem fixing. Well,
Yeah.
that's what creativity
Transformers.
is. Yeah. How do I
Turn
make
it into a
work?
car.
Yeah, so I've seen someone do a box with that. Like, it's like, ooh, sick. But about getting one. But no.
So, just one question about London.
Yeah.
When did you move?
I moved. I was periodically going to move for years
Yep.
to London, but I finally bit the bullet after the pandemic in 2021. But I'd worked in London since I was 18, and I just commuted every day, which was a
'cause you're from
lot.
Brighton.
Yeah, it was 3 hours of my life every day.
Oh, mama.
And I remember, this story is really well known in music interviews, but like it was like I remember someone saying to me, I used to go there 3 hours there, like 1 hour and a half there, because it was from Brighton to Camden, which is North London.
Yeah.
So it's like even further, and all the way back. Sometimes if it was really late, I'd have to get a taxi. I'd get one of the state taxis from outside my train station to my house. And the taxi driver, there was like, I used to just know them all by the end of it. Do you know what I mean? I just knew them all. And this guy said to me, he was like, "Didn't I pick you up this morning?" I was like, "Yeah, I was running late." And he went, Where do you work again? And I was like, "Oh yeah, Camden." And he went, "Wow, that must cost you a lot." I was like, "Oh, it's cheaper than rent." And he went, "Well, what do you value more, your money or your time?" And I was like, "Yo, why is this so deep right now?" And he was like,
It's always the taxi drivers, mate.
"It really was."
Because they watching times. It's like,
But also because he saw me so much, and he saw me tired, and me going, "Oh yeah, I was gonna go to work. Do I have one drink?" And then was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna miss my train." And he was just like, "You don't have a social life." And I was like, "Yeah, why are you beefing me out in the taxi?"
There are certain taxi drivers that will just spin you into an existential crisis. It's just insane.
Well, they felt so comfortable with me. They all did it. And I was looking, and then the pandemic hit, and so I could pause a little bit. And then afterwards, when it hit back up, lo and behold, same fucking taxi driver's like, "Have you moved yet?" I
so
also
I'm
used
still
to,
here, damn.
and not just that, I used to go on a walk, and I used to go on the same walk every day, where I wrote actually a lot of my music. I went on the same walk, and when I tell you, this place was like surrounded by these massive houses. Pretty sure politicians lived there. Like I'd walk all the way there, big tennis courts. It was just like no cars really went down there. It was so private, and it was so peaceful. And I used to see like these rich people with dogs, and after a while they thought I lived there because I walked there so much. Then this one woman would talk to me, and she was like, "Oh, so what do you do?" She had a little song with her.
I understand the demographic now based on the voice.
Yeah,
like, I see them
Say
now.
no more.
She obviously thought I lived there, and she was like, "Well, you're way too young to be living here, like in this area." I was like, "Well, I didn't want to tell her I didn't live there because it's a private road. I shouldn't have been down there." I was like, "Oh yeah, well I'm thinking about moving." She's like, "You should move to London. I lived in this," but she actually lived where I moved, like near where I moved to. But it wasn't because of her I moved there. It was just a weird coincidence. But she was giving me tips on moving and like telling me I should move, and I just had all these people saying move, and I was like,
Check
okay,
the sign.
put up an ad and moved. And then I moved to Brixton and didn't look back because I was like, actually, I have so much more time now. I'm much more of a social life. I think I put all my time into working for so long. Like straight after uni, it was like 3-4 years of just work, and it went all media work. I put my all into setting up this Nickelodeon brand, and then when it got to a point where I was like, oh, I just hate not doing something. So as soon as it got to a place where I was happy with it, and I was like, I can slow down a little bit. Then I did the music stuff, and then that all kicked off. And then when that petered out a little bit because of the pandemic and some contract stuff, I was like, okay, now what? And that's when everyone was like, move to London. I was like, yeah, okay, next bit, let's move.
See what happens.
Yeah. Just hate being stagnant. I don't like the same. But I think that's a creative thing, right? If you're not learning and progressing.
Gotta freak it a little bit.
Just striving for like the uphill. Like this, I feel that's where we thrive as creatives or makers, is just in the uphill.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get to the top, it's like,
Anything
okay,
else?
there's a bigger hill over there.
So, oh, that looks interesting.
Oh my God, is that a lake?
Exactly.
But you can do it.
The lake, climb the mountain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
it keeps us alive.
gotta constantly be doing something.
Yeah,
otherwise,
Shout out to Brixton as well. I was there like a couple of weeks ago, and
Oh, yeah.
Love it,
You
right?
fell in love,
fell
didn't
in
you?
love with Brixton.
everyone used to tell me when I moved there, because loads of people were like, oh, I hate Brixton. I had loads of people telling me that I should have worked for the Brixton tourism board because I loved it so much. I could sell it to anyone. I was just like, it's so beautiful, the live music and the people, they're all so chatty and there's areas, and I was telling them all the different areas they could go for different things, and they're like, Jesus Christ, just like, sign me up, take my money.
I just dipped the toe into Brixton, and genuinely, like, on the train back to Manchester, I was like, having this crisis of like, well, can I afford to move there? I was like, I have to quit my job. Well, no.
Wow!
Yeah, you're like,
we had
when
this
do I
conversation,
care?
I was like, nah,
No,
I
like,
liked
it's
it,
not,
but
it was like a fantasy conversation of like, if I was to move to London for whatever reason,
That
I'm
would
very
be
settled here, but like, Brixton would be
the place.
Brixton would be the place. Yeah, I've never had so many conversations with strangers in London in my life.
But this is, I think there's like that, I always talk about this because I lived in Manchester, and like my sisters are from Manchester, so like there's that preconception of like people from the south are really not chatty and they're not friendly. That is not true. I don't know where people are going, but actually they are. If you, it's the same like the north.
Have you
To
been
be
in
fair.
the tube? It's like,
Yeah, but-
sorry.
On the tube, it's so noisy as well, though. People
Yeah.
don't talk.
You
And
can't
And it's
actually,
humid,
To
so
be
I
fair,
guess
the
emotions are quite
the only
high.
people that used to talk to me on the buses here were like the same kind of people that talk to me on the bus in London. The kind of people you don't want to be talking to,
Yeah.
right? It would never be like a conversation you
Yeah.
wanted
It's
to
never
have.
an agendaless
Yeah.
conversation. Like there's always some shit.
Yeah, exactly. So like, that's not true, and it's the same with like coming out into like outskirt villages here. If you look a bit like you're not from here, or like they could tell that you aren't local to here, they're not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll just
But-
be peeking through the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Stranger.
Yeah, exactly. Calling the police immediately. But whereas like in Brixton, like it is a big city. They know they're not going to know everyone. They will chat to everyone the same that they will in the north. Like
Yeah.
I think that people will talk as long as they're not in a rush. If you
Yeah.
go central, people think you're going to sell stuff, and that's just how it is. And no one from central lives in central. Like anyone you see walking around, most of them are tourists.
Yeah.
Most of them aren't from there. They're
Yeah.
not going to be chatting to you because they're also afraid of being scammed, and you know they're not from the area.
That's fair.
But if you go to the outskirt
Never
towns and
considered
cities,
that.
actually everyone's really chatty. I could go anywhere in Brixton. I remember I brought my friend lived, there's like divides in north, south, east and west. And my friend that lives in west, she's like, I will only ever live west. I brought her down to Brixton and we walked around Brockwell Park. She had millions of conversations. We sat in the cafe and and this cafe is really lovely. It's West Indian cafe, and they have everyone. It's a community cafe, and they grow their own fruit and veg in the back that they make the food with, and they set up these community classes for people that haven't got jobs, and they're all free, and they have like all these community things there, and everyone's coming in going, hi, you're right, how you doing? Oh my God, I haven't met you before. What's going on? And none of it had an agenda. It was all just
Yeah.
people wanting to know
Yeah.
what you're doing, and
Socialising,
they were
interaction.
happy that, and not just that, people were happy that you're buying into the community, the local stuff,
Yeah.
right? And so they were just wanting to have a conversation like, we're basically family now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
And but that can be anywhere, I think. It's not a south-north thing. It's just a nice people with time thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are like just running faster lives in
Yeah.
London.
I think I've spent enough time in London to be like, okay, now I'm situated, and I'm always in a rush anyway. So.
Because everything is like,
Yeah.
oh, got to get the train.
Yeah.
You kind of, there's so much to do as well.
And I've got to get back to Euston now.
Yeah, there's so
but
much
Brixton
to
was the
do.
one spot
Choose-
where
Did you-
people genuinely thought, I got off the tube in Brixton, and this old lady comes up to me, and she's like, I'm trying to get to, where did she say? I want to say
Trying to-
Clapham. I don't know where she was trying to get to, but she said a name. She said, I'm trying to get here. Which bus do I need to get onto? And I just thought, I'm home, baby.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know. I was like, I just got
can't even
here
tell.
from Euston Station. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have a clue. But I found out where it was, and I walked to the train station, and she linked my arm. And I just thought,
Yeah.
get away from me, devil.
Stranger danger.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
I'm
it
in
was
Brixton.
lovely.
She's definitely going to cut me. No, like I do think.
Yeah,
I think people that haven't lived there, because obviously there is a lot of crime there, but there's a lot of crime everywhere. I think it's just like, yeah, there are bad things that happen in Brixton. I think there are
there
little,
are bad things that
yeah.
happen everywhere, to be fair.
And I think it's got such a bad name that it's easier to keep pointing it out.
yeah.
But like, it was probably the only place out that I really felt like home. And to be honest, safe walking around. I find it weird that people
Safe.
were so not finding it safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an oblivious white girl in
I'm just a little see how it works. Meanwhile, I'm like, yo, do I know you, cuz? Like, no, you don't. Fam, I just got from Manchester. What do you mean?
I don't know. I was just so oblivious. Like nothing ever. No one ever approached me except for positive things. I never had anything. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. You know, that happens to everyone. But I'm saying like, you can feel safe. Just be nice to people and like be respectful to people. And not just that. Buy into the fucking community businesses. Stop. The one of the things that people hate about Brixton is that it's the overspill of people that want to live in Clapham, the uni students.
Yeah.
That don't buy into the local shops and like buy into the community that they're fighting so hard to keep. They're the people that go, where's a Pratt? Where's a and it's like just they do the same thing but
Just go
better
to
and
the
nicer,
local.
and they care more.
You
and
actually
have a
know the
chat with
people
you.
who make it. You
Yeah,
can talk to them.
and also like the markets. Buy your fruit and veg from there. Don't just go all the way to the Tesco or the Sainsbury's.
I'm
and
so jealous of the
hear that.
number of markets. I was
yeah.
in Brixton, I don't know, I was in a marketplace. I was in Paradise, basically.
Hot
Just the
Brixton
best
area.
thing
I know.
everywhere.
You were by the station, weren't you?
Yeah, because I literally just got out, so I was going to a design studio around there, and then I met Nima for a coffee. And I don't know where I was, but it was heavenly. But just like that, I'm going off such a tangent at the minute. But like, I feel like we are just living in a state of fear mongering at the minute. So I've been cycling a lot recently, like stupid hours of the night, just going through these giant cycles, and then remembering that I'm supposed to be worried as a woman on the move at night time, and like I have a fear of all this sort of stuff. And I was thinking to myself as I was cycling, and I went onto an underpath where there was just like spray paint all over the walls, and I was like, oh shit, started videoing it. And as I cycled off, I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be terrified of this.
Yeah.
Mama warned me about this.
Be, like, so scared to go out at night as a woman, and I just like was really questioning it. You brought it up then as you were like not worried about walking around, but like
No, it is interesting because like
is bliss.
if you
is it ignorance? Is it really there? I've never ever really encountered any sort of situation that would be like.
It's a weird one.
I don't know if it's.
I think it must be, but I think also it's like.
Is it as prominent as it's made out to be? Is it as big of a thing? Maybe I'm being ignorant. I couldn't work out if I was being ignorant or naive or just lucky.
Yeah. Once again, is it the luck thing? I don't know. Because once again, when I moved to Manchester, I lived in all the worst places you could live in Manchester, unknowingly.
Yeah. Boom.
Like
yeah.
the last place I lived, every house around me was boarded up. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
you
it was just
should've
me
got
at the
yourself
end. It was
in
me
the
at the end, and all of them had. Well,
so
not
quiet round
Not
here.
when I viewed it. When I viewed it, it was fine. Then they were all boarded up, and there was just like snake, grass, graffitied on them, and I was like, where am I?
That's pretty sick.
I'm just a girl from the south.
This is new.
Yeah, this is like a weird sitcom. But once again, like that, I used to walk around by myself. I used to chat to everyone. I do think there's a lot of things to be said. Like, so when I was living in Brixton when I first moved there, I lived with two girls. One was Aussie and one was from like near Oxford, and they were quite posh. They really liked. In London. There's Clapham people, I think, and Brixton people.
Yep.
And Clapham people are very much like not from London. Not saying that there are people that are born and bred Clapham, but the people that like go into Clapham a lot are not. They're normally like Surrey kids or people from outskirts, and they're like uni students. It's predominantly white people, I'm not gonna lie, and they are just different sorts. I can't express it, but I'm running out of my train of thought. But basically, they're very different types of people. Whereas Brixton people, I'd say, are like much more hipstery. They're probably like not as clubby. They're more like sit down bar, maybe like a bit more artsy than Clapham. Like, I mean, Clapham's a lovely vibe. And when I where was I going with this? What was I talking about?
The difference between the Claphammers and visitors.
Women being scared walking around.
Women.
Yeah, so like when I was living with them, they actually they had stuff nicked from them quite a bit, but I'd never had that. And I was like trying to wrap my brains like why. But then I was also very conscious of the groups that they went in, the places that they went, and how vocal they were about things they didn't like about certain areas that they were already in. So they were very vocal about the fact that they were in a West Indian area and they'd never tried West Indian food. They were very vocal about it. They were also very vocal about the fact that they didn't like going to certain areas and it was scary. Like, but saying it aloud in the areas where these people grew up and this was their families' homes and do you know what I mean?
Rob them.
Yeah, no. But you think like if I was going to be an asshole and I was like, I'm gonna like you were thinking. I might target someone today. I would target that bitch that's talking about my fucking home. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I was very much like, I love it here. I love the people. Like I was like boosting it up. I thought it was great. I loved everything about it. Like whenever I go back, it's still like a sense of home a little bit. I know where everything is, and like I'm like, oh, has it still got this thing? And I loved it. And I had one friend that lived there with me, and she was the reason I moved there. And the best way I described it was, if you can mix Brighton and London together and put it in a little area, that is what it felt like.
Oh, that's cool. That's nice way to describe it.
It was exactly how it felt. It was like that creativity, the bright colours, the loud music everywhere, but with a bit of the busyness and rough and tumble of London, and it was so nice.
Oh God, you should work for the tourist board. I can't wait to
Low key.
Brixton. I can't wait to Brixton.
But no, I think like the people thing, like or things happening to certain people, and ignorance is bliss in that. I think there's something to do with. Sorry, this might bizarre mind. I think our brains create situations, and the universe puts it into play. So it's almost like your essence kind of speaks for you as well as anything. I know I'm probably talking like a hippie or whatever, but I feel like we create certain situations without even meaning to, because we are kind of conditioning ourselves into that perspective, and therefore our frequencies are going to operate in that. Sorry, I just hippied it out.
No, not at all. It's true.
Because I mean, as far as you just going out cycling, but then maybe someone else who's skeptical about this and that, walking home, then it's not then it's dodgy. Sorry, it probably sounds wrong for
I
other
know,
people who have
no,
things.
I think the thing is that I think there are things that can happen and will happen to people unknowingly, but I also do think there's something to be said in, you may think, I always say that I think I walk around a little bit naive and I live in a bit of a bubble. I'm unaware if someone's making fun of me, I'm unaware if someone's saying stuff to me. I live in a bit of a bubble where I'm just kind of like functioning with, what do I need to do? It's very like quite a selfish bubble.
Yeah.
I'm also bad at directions, so I'm not even paying attention to what's around me particularly, unless it looks pretty. I'm like, oh, that's nice. But I'm living my own little bubble, and I think if I was out there looking, I could then probably regurgitate a million stories where I was like, that guy was being really dodgy over there and made me feel uncomfortable. But I'm not conscious of it because I'm not looking at it. So I could probably...
Your awareness is elsewhere.
Yeah,
It's
my
about,
awareness
I'm
isn't like that. And I'm not saying that I shouldn't be like... I think I should probably be a bit more conscious, but I do think like walking down the streets...
but also, like, I think it speaks on your essence, like when you come across a stranger, because, I mean, not that I rob people, but certain people, you're like, oh, you look like a victim.
Yeah.
Like, without, like, I don't mean the bad way.
I've chatted to people that... like my dad used to teach in Coulston College, and he used to teach a lot of gang members, and like I remember my dad used to talk to them in front of me, and they would say like, you know, the victims because
the aura you can.
They already look scared of me, and it's like, well, what's the
It's
do
like,
you know what I
gotcha.
mean? But also I think like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where if someone is already feeling like you already think the worst of me, so what else?
Yeah, what's the worst? Like,
I'll be the person you want me to be if that's the case.
Yeah.
It's
Put
just
the bag
there's-
across the street when you see someone just
It's like,
screams
oh,
like,
you're testing me?
please don't.
Not me. I'm not that guy. But it's just based on perception and
Yeah, of
observing.
course it
But I
is.
think there's a lot to do with that, or at least an influence into it, which is quite
100%.
interesting because there's people who are victims of certain things happening. It's like, oh, you know what? That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it was supposed to happen. It's just how life
No.
unfolds.
I do think that there, like I say, there are just some instances that are just awful and flukes. But I think in terms of like stories that you could tell where nothing happened, but like it could have. I think sometimes that's the extra awareness, which is great in some situations, but also like the extra awareness of I think a lot of people are very good, including myself, just not with this, creating a narrative based on what you think could have happened in an interaction.
Yeah.
So someone says something to you, well, what was the intention behind that? Were they going to do this? And then you create a narrative, and then suddenly that becomes the reality, right? You've said it now, you've spoken it aloud, that's what happened.
So now, again, by its
Yeah.
confirmations, it's like, is it going to do this? Is it going to move that?
Yeah.
It just
And
confirms.
now-
I
and
knew
now
it.
you're
I
free.
knew
Yeah.
it. I
You're
knew
free.
If
it.
I walk out of here and someone comes up to me and goes, oh, that's a nice, they go, oh, you're all right. And then in my head, I'm like, oh my God, they just looked me up and down. Were they about to mug me? Were they about to say?
Yeah,
And I go,
yeah.
oh my God, someone was like, and I go up to you later and I go, that guy outside, I think he was about to mug me. Then that's become you go, oh my God, are you all right? And then that becomes my reality because I've said it now.
Only when the guy was like, just looking at your sneakers, like, ooh, there's some nice sneakers. Like, what? No.
Oh my God, he was going to steal my shoes.
I was just thinking, ooh, I like those, but
Yeah.
really just never
And that's
gave
the
it the
thing, because a
opportunity.
lot of seeds have been planted for us to just think the worst of what people are doing. And so just on a cycle, I was just thinking, I don't have the evidence to support that most
the
people
hypothesis,
are.
But I think I also might have that God complex where I'm like, this hasn't happened to me yet.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like,
Ignorance is
I'm
bliss.
due one
it's
now.
literally like COVID. I remember someone, like, everyone got COVID. I was like, I'm going to get COVID. I get every illness. And then I still, touch wood, to this day I haven't had COVID. But
Same
everyone around me was
here.
having COVID. And I remember saying to someone, I went, maybe I'm a super spreader. Like, am I just immune? Am I like the new species? Like, I was like, I'm going to go down in history as one of 5 people in the whole world that never had
Survived
COVID.
without it,
Yeah, and it's like, the fact that I've got this God complex, it could just be that I just happened to avoid it magically this whole time. But in my head, I'm like, I'm just that good. And then that's...
No, that was me until I got COVID.
Yeah,
Like, damn, this shit is
exactly,
real. Like, damn, I shouldn't have said nothing. I should have just kept it to myself. No, here's me. I can't make it.
But I think that I feel like maybe that's what happens with like all this stuff that happens out to women, right? Like I'm just like, that happened to me, and I feel that's how a lot of women feel. So then they get this false sense of security in certain areas.
Yeah.
But
But I'm comfortable in my marble.
that's it.
I'm going to cycle at 1 in the morning. I'm going to cycle at 1 in the morning.
I also say that I don't want to ever stop having fun and be joyous, and I think that when you become so over, like we were talking about being conscious of other people and being like, you know, being shy about being weird or like too much or too little. I do also think that I don't want to always be worrying about not doing something because I'm worried something bad will happen.
Yeah.
So yes, if something bad happens, that's awful.
Yeah.
But equally, I don't want that to make me scared of everything.
Yeah.
You want to embrace the unknown.
Because also those things are not the status quo, like we were saying. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
So I want to live in a world where it's like, these bad things happen and they're flukes.
But the majority.
But the majority of the world is right.
amazing.
That's just a bad
Yeah, instead
person.
of being crippled
That's a
with
person
it.
that did a bad thing.
Yeah.
People aren't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Someone
live in
going
the
through
culture of that.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice place to end it.
Yeah.
Or should I say, actually, music?
Yeah. Yeah.
Music.
We do a music thing. So we ask our guests at the end of each show, what's a track you've been listening to or an album you've been listening to that's really resonated with you, either today or this week or.
Oh God, that's so difficult.
It's such an do you know what I realised the other day? This is quite an on the spot question. It's like, think back to your musical library right now.
Yeah, I know. Because I was listening to one literally yesterday with my mate, and it took me back to a time, but it's not like even one that like particularly resonates with me. I don't know why. It just like made me feel really. It doesn't resonate with me, so this might not be answering your question, but it really made me feel at peace and took me back to a really nostalgic time
That
where I
does answer the
felt.
question.
Yeah, that does
absolutely.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Where it put me in a place where I was like, this is just nice. We were talking about like, so whenever I come back here, I feel like I'm back at being a uni student, where I used to nick food from the uni and like stuff it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got videos of me like crawling on the floor and like taking food from like there's like glass windows where
Vending machine. My arm.
no, they used to have like these big meetings with BBC people, and they had all these like lunches brought in, so the big sandwiches and cakes
And
and
everyone's
stuff.
too polite to eat at those things anyway.
And they
so
put them outside the meeting rooms, and
Yeah.
there's glass meeting rooms, and I just sneak under the table, and you just see my hand like going up, put it under, and I'm like, "What do you want, bro? Yeah, I got you." To the left. I get something for everyone. So it takes me back to that time.
Apologise
Right?
after.
No, I wouldn't. No one would know. I get away with it.
Yeah.
But it took me back to times where I was just like, I don't know, like that. Once again, I didn't care then, but it felt like I had no responsibilities and I didn't care.
It's almost a timestamp
Yeah.
in terms of a journey. Yeah.
And even then, we were listening to this song nostalgically because it felt like it reminded us of like when we were just 18 or teenagers, like partying. And it's One and Only Asa, if you know that song. It's like a dancey song, but it is, and specifically the mix, but it just felt very nostalgic. And you listen to it, and the sun was beaming in through the windows.
Love
It's a very
that.
summery song. It's like slightly
Yeah, love
dancey,
it.
but like chilled dance.
Yeah.
And it like the sun's coming through, and I was just like, I feel like I could be anywhere, and it feels like this music makes you feel so like carefree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just took me back, being in like Manchester, surrounded by that, listening to this old music
that's a
with
great
somebody that I was
response,
at uni. I was just like,
man.
this is
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Well, that's sick.
absolutely answers the question.
Okay, fab. I was like,
No, that was perfect.
Sick.
And like what I enjoy is the fact that people actually do talk about the song and have reason behind it. It's not just like, I heard this new song today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that might be me actually.
Yeah, what have
right,
you
what's
listened
yours?
to?
Oh crap.
See, no
was
one remembers it off the top of their
ill-prepared. I was
head.
ill-prepared.
You'd look
My
it up.
phone's all the way over there, so
No, you're gonna have
guess
to-
I will go now.
Yeah.
There's this Japanese rapper called The Rhyme Animal,
I love it.
and I could not even tell you the name of the song, and I'm not going to do the hand gestures to say I'm going to put it here because it's all in Japanese. I don't know what it is, but yeah, me and like all the people I work with made a playlist the other day, which is now like 74 hours long because we're all in the office and everyone had headphones on, and I was like, what the fuck is everyone listening to? So we made a collaborative playlist, and now it's just this. You know, you get to know someone more through like the music
Yeah.
that they.
Yeah, oh, you're going through it today, ain't you?
Yeah, but it's like I had no idea you would have put that track on here, and when a song comes on now, I'm like, which one of you put the song in here? So
Yeah.
it's been amazing.
Oh, I love stuff like that.
It's so it's so sick, and I've just realised now that the song I'm saying has resonated with me isn't even on the playlist, so I don't know how I brought those two things together. But the Rhyme Animal just raps in Japanese, and it's sick, and it's going to go on the playlist, the work playlist now.
Now,
Alright, yeah.
now you've said it.
Now
Yeah,
I've connected these pieces together. But yeah, the track's amazing. It's like really hip hoppy, and that's what I realised on the collaborative playlist is there's just a shitload of hip hop on there, which I didn't realise
Oh, to be fair,
was going to be on there. So yeah, the Rhyme Animal, some kind of name of the song. It's sick. It's amazing.
No, I like the playlist. We felt like I said, I was bumping it, and it's just like it's everything really. Like
I need to have this
the-
playlist. What is this
Yeah.
playlist?
No, I'll send it through, but it's dope. But as far as me, I have been listening to Barely.
Hey,
Barely, I'm still on
nice.
Barely. Yeah, and Can You Feel It is a song. Can you feel it? He's kind of like reminiscing through life, I guess. So I guess that's
Is
what I
that what you've
sometimes
been
do.
doing?
Yeah, like I mean that's typically how it coincides with reflecting in terms of, okay, so what's the plan now? Or where am I? Or centering self. So looking back is always good to sort of find self again and then be like, oh, you know what? So in terms of the present or the future, let's make a movie. Fuck it, why not? Got nothing to lose. So it's easy to get over certain things. Like, you know what? Because in terms of reminiscence, certain things like, I did do that. That was stupid as hell. But guess what? The outcome was pretty dope.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, fuck it, I'll do it. Ignorance is bliss. So yeah, no, it's one of them ones. So yeah.
Oh.
Nice.
That's
You
what
guys
I
have
think
good
about it.
answers. And also good new songs that I need to add to a playlist and listen to the
We'll
playlist.
send you
Yeah,
the playlist,
yeah, I'll
it's
send you the
great.
playlist.
Please.
It will send
Yeah.
you everywhere. To be fair, I told Katie that as far as the playlist, the weird thing is that it actually forms a story without even realizing that it's the story.
What, making a playlist?
Like if you look at the titles
Oh!
on the playlist,
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's it's
What,
pretty
and
awesome.
it was an accident.
Totally.
Like,
Well,
yeah,
totally.
it was an accident because
Yeah.
you did the track. You put the tracks, but I listened to it. Maybe last week or throughout the week. I was like, yo, this, and then I was scrolling through. I was like, this tells a crazy story because it takes you through emotions.
And it's 74 hours worth, so imagine how many
No,
like,
this one,
titles are in
this
it.
one, this one is.
This I knew it happened. We've confused two playlists together. I made a playlist at work, which is like this collaborative playlist, but we have a playlist of these responses.
Yes.
Which
Then
will be,
why are we not recording
it will be
this?
74 hours long, but right
Yeah,
now it's
because
not.
right now it's 1:53.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. Like, I mean, I'm sure, like, you play word association. I'm sure you can actually make up a whole story.
Slice of bread, angel, can I call you Rose? Oh my God, yeah,
Good
good
news,
Do you
like-
love me?
No, I'm just off the
Off the
zoinkies.
zoinkies. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
do you love me? I'm off the zoinkies. Yeah. Oh wow. Also, this sounds like a great playlist.
Yeah, so it's
It's a very spread. So it's like all the guests that have been on the show.
yeah.
All together
Oh,
in a playlist.
guys.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll put yours on there too.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
This was nice.
Oh, this was nice.
That's
for
nice.
inviting
You
me.
ended up in the shade somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
But
you'll be okay. I mean,
you can see the shadow kind of moving across. But yeah, thank you so much for
Yeah,
No, thank you for
joining
having
It's been
me.
really nice
Yeah.
chatting with you.
even though I thought it was last week, the panic mode. You should have seen us last week.
I know when you were messaging me, I was like, why is he so keen to put this in for next week? I'm like, wow, Nate is, now become super organised. I've got to fit
Well, I
it
sat
in.
upstairs waiting, like, should we shoot at the park again?
No, because when you were messaging me, like, so are we still doing 7? I was like, yeah, the plan hasn't
Yeah.
changed. It was obviously like 7:15, so I was like, yeah, the plan hasn't changed. You were like,
got back. I'm like, all right, okay, let's set up. I mean, let's eat.
Oh,
get
I'm
something to get
so
ready.
sorry.
It's so not, like, please don't you say sorry.
Yeah.
That's totally an us thing.
Yeah, no, it's an us thing. To be fair, I feel like we needed that because then it also gave us an opportunity to actually hang out without actually
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
cameras up and mics and
Yeah.
everything.
I'm
And
so
we
bad
actually,
for
I
that.
think I left at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, it was a late one, so yeah, it was actually
chatting,
good.
shooting shit.
Yeah.
Fun.
Strategizing, and today we
Plotting.
learned something. Yeah, we're plotting. So now, even though there's no continuity in this shot, like look at the pillars.
And I've got this on now. I'm in the
Like, wait a
shade.
minute, time out. What happened?
It's been 3 hours.
Yeah, but no, like
No, it's really
regardless,
fun.
it's been real.
And it's been nice to meet you, Katie. This is
so
the
nice
first
to
time.
meet
And
you.
the last time I saw you was 2021.
Was it
Wild.
a lost place?
Yeah.
Yeah, because out back just in the garden. Yeah, actually, the last time I saw you were in the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to leave early because I lived in Brighton, so that's how long ago it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. An hour and a half. But yeah, no, it's been real.
It's been really
And
joining us.
yeah, thank you very much. And
Anytime.
next time we're in London, I'm gonna hit you up because you did say you have a place for us to crash.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we do have London strategies.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you in
But
London.
here's the thing.
Wait, do you live in Brixton?
Nah, I live in Croydon now, but
Croydon.
I know I
Closer
can
to
take you
Christopher.
to.
Closer for Christopher.
Yeah.
I can take you to round Brixton to some really sick spots there.
Please. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That'd be
like
lovely.
we will go to London, but some of us hate the business of it. But it's alright. Just too busy for my liking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like everyone just needs to chill for a second. But now, for real though, thanks for joining. And when you driving back tonight?
Yeah. Well, I say we as if I'm doing any. Look at his face.
Great. Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm going back tonight.
No, that's sick. Wait, how long is the drive? 3.5? 3, 4 hours.
It's like,
I did check it like a couple of minutes ago.
Okay.
Okay.
No, you're still good. You're still good.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
you
we're
got
good.
time. What? 4:28?
yeah.
4:20. Sorry, my brain. Let me count it.
4:20.
It would be nice to have quick medication. But no, thanks for
thank
joining.
you.
And until next time.